Plate 9, The Ram Caught in a Thicket, is obviously the most famous thing that we're going to go over in this book. I mean, as far as the plates go. This is one of a pair of figures found laying close to one another in the largest of the royal death pits. The subject is a goat, 19.5 inches high, standing erect with its forefeet against the stem of a flowering shrub, to the branches of which it was secured by silver chains, now completely decayed, made fast round its fetlocks. The name, The Ram Caught in the Thicket, is purely fanciful, but it has this justification, that the theme is not merely decorative, but has assuredly some religious content. If, as is not unlikely, the two figures were parts of a single composition and were set facing one another, we should have here an unusually elaborate version of a composition very common in Sumerian art. Two animals rampant, like heraldic supporters. This is the more likely in that our goats are not pieces of free sculpture. From behind the shoulder of each there rises a solid gold stump, which is evidently the base of something that has now disappeared. They are literally supporters, though we cannot say of what. As an example of Sumerian polychrome statuary, the goats are unequaled in our discoveries, and technically they are of great interest. The figure was constructed on a wooden core, of which the head and legs were finely cut, the body more roughly modeled. The face and legs of animal were covered with thin gold foil hammered against the wood and stuck to it with a thin wash of bitumen over the body. Bitumen was laid much more thickly as a bedding for the heavy incrustation which formed the fleece. Most of this is of shell, each lock of hair being a separate tongue-shaped piece of white shell conveniently engraved on the neck and shoulders. However, instead of shell, there were curling locks cut in blue lapis lazuli. The beard and horns were of lapis lazuli. The eyes of shell with lapis pupils. The belly of the beast was a silver plate. The small square stand was encrusted with pink and yellow sandstone and white shell. Fortunately, though, the wooden core had decayed away altogether. The work of restoration could be reduced to a minimum. The goat here, illustrated, lay on its side, that had been crushed quite flat, but was not broken. By waxing the shell and lapis lazuli and applied muslin, the two sides of the body could be lifted and separated and pressed out again into shape and applied to a new body without the individual tesserae being disturbed. Wire and plastic wood could be pushed up the legs, and the gold mask could be re-annealed and pressed from inside into its original form. Only the silver of the belly was oxidized beyond recall. The same is true of the tree, of which the gold has been reset on a wooden stem and branches of copper wire. As a result, the work, and the gold work in particular, lacks the fine finish which more radical measures of restoration might have